Congratulations to the management and staff of OKEU and the Victoria Hospital. Last year, we transitioned from the Victoria Hospital to OKEU and we had a successful transitioning. So I would like to say thank you to the management and staff of the OKEU and Victoria Hospital for this smooth transitioning that took place. We have been able to, since then, employ over 109 workers to staff our hospital, our new respiratory hospital. And so far, we have been doing very well in terms of managing the COVID pandemic. I want to again congratulate the management and staff of the OKEU and Victoria Hospital and say congratulations for a very successful year so far.
My name is Benson Emil, Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Taking this opportunity to wish the Owen King EU Hospital a happy first anniversary. First anniversary is always a significant milestone. It is an indication, that we have survived, but it's also an indication that there is room to grow and to develop and to mature. So going forward, as we develop and mature, we would want as much as possible, for it to reflect in the service delivery, to the citizens of St. Lucia. An institution like OKUH does not exist, without the persons responsible, for its operations and its management. And as I express, the happy first anniversary to Owen King EU Hospital, I would also want to take this opportunity to congratulate the staff at the hospital for first transitioning the Victoria Hospital, into this facility and for managing and operating it, throughout the year. Congratulations and once again, happy anniversary to the Owen King EU Hospital.
Good day, I am Jenny Daniel, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health and Wellness. Approximately 1 year ago, the Owen King European Union Hospital made its transition to its current premises. Today, I would like to congratulate and thank the staff for conducting this transition with near perfection, and of course to continue operating the hospital as it has been over the last 12 months. We know that the journey towards getting adequate healthcare services provided at the hospital is always a continuous one. We recognize that the journey has started and we recognize that there is room for growth and improvement as we go along. However, this sometimes takes time, and in that light, we would like to encourage the staff not to be discouraged, but to continue the arduous work with the running of the hospital and to continue providing healthcare service to the island of St. Lucia. So in this light, once again, I would like to thank you and to congratulate you on the anniversary of your movement, of the opening of the OKEU.
Happy anniversary, OKEU. Congratulations to all of the hardworking staff members.
Permit me to adopt the protocol already established. I know it is a continuation of the ceremony, and in my earlier presentation, I referred to the transition in, as a premature delivery. What I forgot to mention, it was twins. So we're now on the premises of the other sister. What has just been described by Ms. Francis, the Executive Director, is is really and truly, you know, an outstanding feat. You know, to transition from one hospital to the other, and you know, to transition and to concurrently open, you know, the respiratory hospital within hours is really and truly an outstanding feat. And the ceremony to head today is really and truly, you know, we should as much as possible, you know, look at the ceremony today to recognize, you know, those persons who are involved, you know, in that transitioning process. What we have done is a physical transitioning of Victoria Hospital to OKUH. What is outstanding and ongoing, you know, is a transitioning, you know, of the minds, you know, a transitioning of the culture that would allow for us to truly, you know, look out and face the St. Lucian public to say we are placing an outstanding facility and we're here to deliver the highest standard of care. So we have physically transitioned and the transformation is in process. You would have knowledge, you know, that in the very short term, you know, the governance and management of this facility will be transferred to the Millennium Heights Medical Complex Board. And I know change is not easy. You know, I know sometimes change is not always welcoming, but sometimes change is necessary. And in this case, it really and truly is. What we have, what the government is aspiring for, you know, is to provide St. Lucians, every St. Lucian, with the highest standard of care. And every St. Lucian is deserving of that quality care. So in the transitioning or the transformation, we have to truly, really and truly, critically examine, you know, our processes. We have to critically examine the standard procedures, standard operating procedures that we have in place to ensure that it is suitable to deliver the care that is necessary. So we have physically transitioned, and there is that transformation that is on board, coming on pretty soon. And thereafter, we will be proud, you know, as staff of this facility, we'll be proud as St. Lucians to at some point in the short term, you know, be able to attest that St. Lucia is providing the best care. St. Lucia is delivering, you know, the best medical care, you know, to its people. But for that to happen, we have to be receptive of the change. You know, we have to embrace the change. We have to be objective, you know, and open-minded in accepting the change, and to recognize that as this facility grows and develops, so too the occupants in it, so too the staff in it will be expected, you know, to grow and develop in it. So with that said, I want to really and truly congratulate, you know, and commend all the staff, all the sister agencies, you know, all the supporting persons and institutions, you know, St. Lucia, for facilitating and ensuring this successful transition. And I want to, you know, implore upon all persons occupying and working in this facility, you know, to work with the ministry, to work with the new governance, you know, in ensuring that we elevate the standard of care that we deliver to all St. Lucians. Thank you.
Once again, welcome to this small gathering here today to honor and show appreciation for all the workers, the frontline workers, the staff and administration of the OK EU Hospital. Let me recognize, protocol already established, let me recognize our Honorable Prime Minister, Prime Minister Alan Michael Chasney, and my PS from the Ministry of Health, the distinguished doctors and nurses that we have in our presence today. Of course, as you know, we were at the Victoria Hospital doing just that, congratulating you for a job well done, and saying to you that you ought to be proud of what you have accomplished within the past year. I know that you have had to put your best foot forward in a very short period of time. You have had to put out your best. You have had to endure a lot of, shortages of resources, manpower, and so on. But you have come out, you have excelled at trying to do your best in those very challenging times. Of course, you know that we were not scheduled to move from that hospital, from VH to OKEU, as soon as we did. But as a result of COVID-19, we were forced to elevate the move and move to this hospital as quickly as possible. So I recognize the challenges, a lot of the shortcomings that you have had to face. But I'm here today to congratulate you and say that you have done exceptionally well. You have done an awesome job. And I wish to thank everyone that was involved in making this happen, creating this success, for continuing to take care of our patients, providing the quality care that you have provided so far. And I want to encourage you to continue to work together so that we can accomplish our goals. This is not by any means the end. This is just the beginning, but you have held on, you have been steadfast, and you have persevered, and you have accomplished the task. So without further ado, I am going to say again, congratulations. As you can see, our Prime Minister is here with us. We have been able to keep the Permanent Secretary and certain key individuals whose time is very precious and very, they usually do not spend so much time in one place, but we have been able to capture them today to spend that time with us and celebrate this great accomplishment. So again, I want to thank everyone and say enjoy your day, and may God bless us all.
Good afternoon, everyone. With protocol being established, but let me recognize the Minister, Mary Isaac, my cabinet colleague, the PS, and most importantly, doctors and nurses here at OKEU. Today is a very important day because we should never spend time not remembering the past and acknowledging where we've come from. There's actually a plaque in my room at my office, and it says, never look back unless you want to figure out how far you've come. That's the only reason to look backwards for. And I think that when we today look back, we can see how far we've come. Last year was supposed to be the year of health. So in fact, my administration spent 4 years building up to the year of health. And the year of health was supposed to be us operationalizing OKEU, and more importantly, introducing healthcare insurance. Because one of the ways to be able to afford to pay for this quality healthcare that we want to have was through the insurance. And those persons who could not afford their insurance, government would be paying the insurance for them. So the intention was, and still is, that every single St. Lucian will have healthcare insurance. And therefore, every single St. Lucian will be required to go and see a GP every year and get a proper health check. And those St. Lucians who have hypertension or high blood pressure or diabetes will be able to afford to get the medication to resolve their illness. We saw during COVID, and as I mentioned earlier today, that persons died during COVID, which those persons who still want to believe that COVID doesn't exist, I keep saying to them that there are people I can introduce you to and family members that I can introduce you to that will tell you firsthand that COVID exists. And examining many of those persons who sadly passed away, there was a repeating theme. Many of them were persons with underlying conditions. And sadly, some of them had not been taking medication for those underlying conditions. And again, sadly, many of them did not have the wherewithal or the confidence, whatever it was, that once they contracted COVID, not knowing that they had COVID, to come in to see a doctor. Believed that they were going to resolve the problem themselves. And sadly, when it got too bad and it came in, there were some and many that we were able to save, but sadly there are some that we could not save. Well, we're here today to say thank you. And I know that many of you have been going back and forth between OK EU and also the respiratory center. Many solutions I think truly do not appreciate what has happened here. That we talked about giving birth to twins, but we didn't know that we were going to have twins. So it wasn't to say that we had the ability of preparing for twins. And so therefore, we are now operating 2 hospitals with not much of an increase in staff. And many of you have been putting in the extra time to make that happen. And again, as I said earlier today, there were times, January, February, and I think in periods of March, in which we actually had more patients at Victoria than we had here at OK EU. So it's not to say that Victoria has been operating at smaller numbers. In fact, it's been operating with some very high numbers. And those of you who have been caring for COVID patients, and certainly when you listen to some of the testimonials of patients, it's around the clock. Every 4 hours, you're checking persons' vitals, making sure that they're getting the right form of medication at the right time. And so it's not to say that caring for COVID patients is any less of a chore than what we've normally been doing. In fact, it's probably even more intensive. Added to that, when COVID came out, we didn't know what COVID was, other than knowing that it was a respiratory ailment. And so many of you had been putting yourselves at risk and putting your families at risk. And for that, we owe you a great debt of gratitude. I'm here to say to you that the journey continues. The mission of what we started off as being the Year of Health to transform OKU continues. The mission to get all of the equipment up to international standards continues. The mission of putting a proper operating procedure, a modern operating procedure into OKU continues. And therefore, we can only build on what you have already provided. You have given us a world-class team, world-class effort. And that is the most important ingredient to start with in resolving the issue of healthcare in our country. And so the rest of us are actually catching up to where you are. And how do I know that? Because of the untold stories that I've personally borne witness to, the untold stories by many people who have met me to talk about the incredible job that all of you have done in taking care of us in St. Lucia. And so I want to say, honestly, thank you, thank you, thank you. Today we're here to recognize many of you and for the efforts that you have put in. And I have to say to you that these awards are tokens of our appreciation. and there no way can ever be a replacement to what you have achieved and what you've put into your job in the last year. I am hoping that the government will be in a position, hopefully sometime soon, to be able to show you a more meaningful gift of our appreciation. We started it by getting duty-free incentives for many of you to be able to afford your car. And over 300 of you have taken advantage of that opportunity. And I know that we continue to endeavor to find even more meaningful ways of showing you the appreciation of your country for what you have done. So again, I want to congratulate all of you. It's been 1 year. I don't think that we thought we could have been this far, or it would have gone as well. It is not to say that it's not had its fair share of difficulties. So again, I want to thank Minister Mary Isaac for living up to what my expectations of her were, and that she is a very quiet leader, a leader that stays in the ranks of everyone, is not somebody who puts herself forward, and she has that level of empathy. And I can say to you that she's very persuasive in cabinet in ensuring that the resources that are required are made available. And I can tell you that she has the full support of our cabinet colleagues. I want to thank Mr. Benson Emile, who got dropped into this PS position very late in the game, asking him to manage the continued transition into OK EU, to manage the operations of Victoria, to manage the respiratory centers throughout the length and breadth of the country, to continue to manage the improvement of our healthcare centers, and also to start the process or continue the process of introducing a healthcare insurance, which we're still on track to do this year. So these are not, any one of those things by themselves was a significant task. Putting them all together and then literally giving him no time to adapt. I really want to say, sir, that you've done an amazing job, and thank you. To Ms. Nancy and Ms. Dr. Ford for the incredible job that they have in the leadership they've shown in transitioning from Victoria to OKU, and then now being told after you've gotten yourself here, you still have to operate Victoria and to manage a construction site while having patients still there, and then making sure that that hospital, that respiratory hospital, was up and running in time. Because we knew when COVID came out, and you all know that because you're the frontliners, we were not ready. We can look back now and clearly understand how far we had to go. So I want to say to you, thank you for having confidence. Thank you for staying the course. Thank you for taking care of all of us. I appreciate it.
You're the engine that makes all things go, and you're always in disguise, my hero. I see your light in the dark, smile in my face when we all know it's hard. There's no way that I could pay you back. Bless your heart, know I love you for that. Honest and selfless. I don't know if it helps, but good job. You're doing a good job, a good job. Doing a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, 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 yeah. Doing a good job, a good job. Doing a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, 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 yeah. 6 in the morning, as soon as you walk through that door, everyone needs you again. The world's out of order. It's not as sound when you're not around. Always on your feet, hard to keep that energy. I know when it seems like the end of the road, you don't let go. You still be strong. You're the engine that makes all things go. Always in disguise, my hero. I see you light in the dark, smile in my face, though we all know it's hard. There's no way to ever pay you back. Bless your heart, know I love you for that. Honest and selfless, don't know if it helps, but good job, good job. Don't get too down, the world needs you now. Know that you matter. You're doing a good job, good job. Don't get too down, the world needs you now. Know that you matter. The doctors, the nurses, the teachers that hear us, family and friends that show up in the end, from the bottom to the top, that listeners that hear us, this is for you. You make me feel less. A good job. Don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, matter, matter. Ooh, know that you matter.
A year ago, we moved physically from the old structure at Victoria Hospital into a building that was no longer new, but new to us all. It was a bittersweet moment, as Victoria Hospital was the professional birthplace of much of the staff and held emotional ties, even if the structure itself was crying out for help. We are under no illusions, however, and recognize that a physical relocation is not always accompanied by the paradigm psychological shift that might be expected. As a result, while a lot of work has been done, there is still lots left to be done, and this I say in the present continuous tense, ongoing as we speak. Anyone who has been around me for long enough has heard me say at some point in time, I don't suffer from the grass is greener syndrome. By this I mean that I have never been one to assume that all healthcare offered outside of St. Lucia is better than that offered here. This, prompted by my exposure to first world medicine in more than one country, and the near disasters in healthcare that occurred in settings where there were truly no limitations on any physical or human resources. The only limitation to those scenarios was actual care. In other words, what happens to you matters to me. That I have found to be the root of the problem in any of these scenarios, whether in the first, second, or third world. Like we say to our dearest little old men and women, who indeed are the foundation of this land, and who at 3 a.m. in the morning bring the greatest joy when we are able to serve them. Mom, Pops, isa mukha ni pou ete binou de 3 jours, pou nou sa ochipe ou, ek bawati soulajman ou sav. The truth is that despite all the challenges, hundreds of St. Lucian patients have now passed through these walls and received excellent care from a team of healthcare and allied health professionals that took them from a place of illness to a place where their health was restored. and they were able to be reincorporated into their daily lives. Hundreds of St. Lucians who were at death's door are now alive because of the intervention of a team of people who did the necessary to ensure that they got a second chance at life. Who are they? The patient with a high-risk pregnancy who was told she would never make it to the end of her pregnancy with both herself and her baby alive, and who walked out with her newborn. The 60-something-year-old patient with a debilitating degenerative disease of the nervous system who was told, if you go into ICU in hospital, you will never leave alive, and who after months of intensive and rehabilitative care also walked out of hospital. The 20-something-year-old sickle cell patient whose pneumonia caused one of his lungs to look completely white on X-ray, and whose family was convinced that those doctors don't know what they're talking about, who fully recovered and was just seen fixing a roof the other day, because you know St. Lucia is small and everybody knows everybody. The young man whose petrified relatives thought that they would surely lose him when, like a typical man, after staying home with pain for too many days, he only got to hospital after his abdomen was already full of pus, but who after skilled surgical hands and excellent post-op care is back hanging out with the fellas on the block. The tiny twin who at just a few days old was noted by his doctors to be turning blue, prompting their quick referral for evaluation of his heart, allowing the diagnosis of complex congenital heart disease to be made, along with referral for corrective surgery. A tiny tot who is post-surgery and running around today. I could go on. But suffice it to say that many persons have been shocked to have received not good, but excellent care within these walls. Are there exceptions? Of course. And for those of us for whom this is not just a job, but a vocation and a call to service, less than optimal care is something that we do not and will not accept as an alternative. In today's world of technological advancement, there are things that we simply should not function without. We look forward with anticipation to the days ahead when systems are put in place and crucial resources are guaranteed to ensure that no one, regardless of class, color, or creed, receives less than the best care that we are able to offer. That having been said, despite our best efforts, there will be some bad outcomes. And no hospital in the world or healthcare team is exempt from it. No one sees the nurse who takes a moment from the family meeting to collect him or herself. No one sees the doctor who has to prepare him or herself to deliver the worst news possible to family and loved ones. Or the ward aide who holds the hand and sits in silence with a patient who has just received news of a horrible terminal illness. No one sees the tears, the frustration when the tools that might have saved a patient's life are not within our reach. No one knows the pain when a family member holds on in a deadlock embrace, in tears, saying thank you, because they truly know that everything possible was done. And because they are right, everything was done, but it doesn't erase the pain. I want to encourage all of you, my fellow staff at OKU. It may seem like no one sees your sacrifice. House officers, your diligence, hard work far beyond the hours and the call of duty, and advocacy on your patients' behalf. Nurses, our eyes and ears, your love for your job, your care for your patients. Porters, those of you always willing to help us help a patient whenever you are called upon. Lab staff, your willingness to find that unit of blood wherever possible on island to help save a patient. Domestic assistants, keeping the place free of the abundance of body fluids that we all know abound in hospital. Security, keeping us safe when patients become violent or even sexually harass staff. I can go on and I will never cover every area, but you know how much you give on a daily basis. Are there rotten apples? Yes. And we trust that the systems being put in place will continue to ensure that all fruit are either restored to health, if necessary, suitably reassigned elsewhere. In the meantime, we press on. We have lots of work to do, and we will continue to move towards the ultimate goal, which is that optimal health care be available to every child of our fair Helen. Like a phrase coined by our medical community some years ago said, "Pour santé, tout le monde." I thank you.